So welcome back all of you. I would request all our attendees to please visit our booth and share your thoughts on Q&A option given at the left side of your screen. You can drop your queries there. Moving on with the next panel section on banking post-COVID, will the future be built on trust or technology? To start with the panel, I would like to invite Mr. Nikhil Bundy, Chief Information Officer and Head Business Operation with Star Financial Services, who will be moderating the session. Welcome, Mr. Nikhil. Joining him will be Deepak Sarda, General Manager, Information Technology, Indian. Welcome, Mr. Sarda. Joining him would be Sunil Soni, Chief Information Officer, Punjab National Bank. Mr. Amit Saxena, Global Deputy Chief Technology Officer, State Bank of India. We have with us Mr. Vijay Kumar, CEO and Principal Officer, Go Digit Insurance, and Mr. Deepak Sangla, Director Sales, BLC India and SAC. I would like to welcome you all, and I move ahead with this panel. This is over to Mr. Nikhil Bundy now, who's the moderator of the session. I would request Mr. Nikhil to please proceed with the panel session.
Thank you very much, Hina.
Thank you so much, sir.
First of all, good morning to everyone, the government delegates who are part of this session, the esteemed panelists from varied sector within the BFSI industry, all the delegates who have joined this session across the country. So a warm welcome and good morning. I would say the session which is kept here is so relevant in today's world where the entire globe and specifically India is going through this pandemic. The pandemic which is impacting the overall lifestyle of people. And for us, the people who are participant in this session, it is impacting the financial services industry as a whole, the banking, financial services and insurance industry as a whole. The topic of this panel discussion, which is banking post-COVID. When we say banking post-COVID, I just think of 30 years back where the banking was only done on trust. If Mr. Ram is going to walk into my bank branch, I know Mr. Ram, who is this customer, what is his history, how many years back he was having a bank account with me, how's his banking terms with me. Fast forward some 25 years, just 5 years back from now, we were after the internet revolution, adoption of mobile technology, we saw that people have the personal connect went off. But what happened is when the personal connect went off, there were other mechanisms to validate a customer and then move ahead in the direction of the technology trust. After this pandemic, the entire banking, financial services and insurance industry, possibly across the globe and specifically in India, has seen a change in which how we are going to do business. Is it just going to be trust? Is it going to be a hybrid of trust and technology? Or now is the time to really get to a technology-driven banking post-COVID? So this is the topic, and I think we have the kind of panelists we have from varied sector. We have Mr. Deepak Sarda, who is the General Manager, Information Technology in Indian Bank. We have Mr. Sunil Soni, who is the CIO of Punjab National Bank, which is at a different level in banking. Mr. Amit Saxena, who is the Global Deputy CTO of SBI. We have Mr. Vijay Kumar, who is the CEO and who comes from a different industry, I would say tech insurance, insurtech industry, I would say. And Mr. Deepak Singhal, who is the Director of Sales for BMC India and SAC. So with this varied panel, I think we will have a very, very objective assessment of where we are, and is it going to be the banking industry, is it going to be built on trust, or technology and how we are going to take things further. So I would like to take this discussion with Mr. Deepak Sarda to know as to how has COVID changed or disrupted the BFSI sector in India, specifically in India. Mr. Deepak.
Thank you, Mr. Nikhil. Good morning to all esteemed panelists and viewers. The very relevant question, which is presently in everybody's mind, how BFSI is going to serve customer post-COVID. Now, first wave has come. We are in second wave, midst of second wave, and all are predicting there will be third wave. Like the preparedness for the government for taking and having this second wave to its minimum, so that impact is minimum. They have not envisaged that it will be such a wave. Now, similar thing has happened in banking sector, predominantly in public sector banks, where, as Mr. Nikhil has mentioned, the banking used to happen on trust, and customer would often walk in to meet them, say good morning to branch manager and other staff, and come back. Now, what we are observing, such customers have also become, now because of pandemic, they are also fearing to go out, venture out. In the process, they don't have other option other than going online. But one good thing has happened, that government has started this digital initiative in public sector bank way back when they had a PSD Manthan. After that, we had Ease 1, Ease 2, Ease 3, which all talks about everything going digital, including Ease 3 is now talking about dispersing the loan amount also directly in the account without visiting the branch by a customer. Even documentation also will happen online. So yes, there is going to be a mix of trust and information technology going forward, which we are seeing it is being adopted across various developed economies. Now, India per se has changed with respect to banking and insurance to a great extent. Now, what we are doing today, work has not stopped. Life has to move on. Life is moving on. Now, also we are having a discussion through this collaborative tool. In earlier, I will say that there are two parts to this. One is banking also. Private sector banks were far ahead with respect to digitization and technology compared to public sector banks. But when government has started giving thrust to digitalization, the public sector bank has also came and matched the capabilities what private sector banks were offering. There are two things. The other thing is how we are delivering to customer and how customer expects delivery of the services. Now, over a period of time, I am observing from last year March to this year March, even though we were in COVID period for fair amount of time during this one year of time, the transactions which has happened sitting at home or through mobile is 200 to 300% more in mid-sized bank also. So we can compare in SBI and bigger bank, it will be much more. But there are disadvantages also, like personal touch goes with the customer, which may be avenue which could have been utilized for cross-selling, upselling. However, with advent and invention of big data analytics and all, when a customer goes online, what he is eligible for, how he can be helped with respect to various services, what is his eligibility if he would like to avail a loan, all this can be available on his screen, and just he has to click and move ahead. So the branch banking brick and mortar model is getting shrinked, and it is coming on mobile or a laptop or within sitting at a room or a place. Now we are also observing, since our bank and some of other bank like PNB and other banks have also gone for amalgamation, and this amalgamation happened during peak period of when COVID was there, and all the banks have given an optimistic commitments to the government that we will be completing this by such and such date. Nobody has expected that COVID will be coming in way. and we have to change our way, and we may have to extend our timelines. But with the use of technology in banking sector, which used to be earlier, board meeting used to happen in physical, though that trust, whatever, here also trust comes. Now everything is through collaborative tool. All the BFSI sector is totally equipped with all the tools, whatever available in the market, and whatever they can adopt for having this work from home. For bankers, it was a dream. Like Mr. Deepak mentioned that he wished to have everything in front of him. Now he's even if he doesn't want, it is there, and it is the way of life going forward. So the way we have, as far as the delivery of services are concerned, we have to be very much equipped. Customer demands are also going to be from home. We should be able to match that. When you meet in physical person, you may understand them better. Now you have to understand online what they are thinking and what we should offer them. And everything depends on how robust your technology is. Secondly, automation is going to play a very important role because of lockdown and various reasons. Coming to office is becoming very difficult nowadays because of various restrictions. However, banking and financial services have been given flexibility to come to office because it comes under essential services now. So the way government has also changed their regulations, and the way the banks are also changing themselves, I think that future, maybe down the line 1 year or 2 years, it's like this: when you follow something for 1 or 2 years, it becomes habit. So it's going to become a habit of in India to offer all services. Mostly all are being offered, and going forward, it will be the new norms for offering digital services through banking and financial sector. Thank you.
Very good. I think, thank you, Mr. Deepak. You have covered a whole horizon there. And I was just going through that journey, what you mentioned, that when we talk of banking, there are a larger percentage of people who think of banking as just opening a savings bank account, which is a digital way of opening an account. But then you took it further towards a person who is going to take a loan. Earlier, the kind of scrutiny which used to happen, they used to physically want to see the person. And now the way you explained that, call it a eKYC or disbursement of loan online, and even the public sector bank, which had a lesser acceptability earlier, public sector bank as well as private sector banks, how they have embraced technologies and even done started with this online disbursement of loans. You have also covered the transactions which people can do sitting at home today makes us smarter. The adaptability of these transactions pre-COVID versus post-COVID, the data shows that it has like the technologies who used to break their head as to how they should enforce people to adopt this technology. It has all of a sudden spiked, and people have understood that they can do banking also sitting at home, not only just transaction with their bank account, but even their loan account, disbursements of loan online. I think you touched a very important point on data analytics, where earlier it was that, as I mentioned, Mr. Ram has to be seen if he has come for a loan, and is it a loan for his daughter's marriage, or is it a loan for expansion of his business? But today, with all these high-tech application scorecards, which has all the algorithm based on the bureau data, based on the social data of individuals, and then even the companies. Based on that, there is an application scorecard which pre-qualifies certain people for loan, and then moves forward to a digital signature and digital contracting, which makes it more interesting. I think you touched one more important point about BCP, which I like, that business continuity planning. This COVID second wave has taught everyone that people can work from home from the first time versus second time. First time there were a lot of boardroom meetings which happened, and then in the second time it was an instruction to the CIOs that, okay, we will have to instantiate our BCP for all employees across, and it was a much smoother transition. So I think we have learned for sure. You have also touched upon the automation, the process of automation, how important it is for the banking industry, and some things like robotic process automation, which all the banks are aggressively looking. I think Very well put. I would like to go for a different view, which is going to be from Mr. Sunil, who is the CIO with Punjab National Bank, who sees a very wide horizon. And I would like to ask Mr. Sunil that with this traditional banks, because they have accepted these technologies now, is it going to be a completely digital banking, or do you still see customers stepping into the branch and then doing their transactions, and they have to still step into the branch? What is your view?
Thanks, Nikhil, and good morning, everyone, whoever is attending this panel discussion, and my valued panelists here. Very nicely put by Mr. Deepak Sharada that, banking has been a journey, and the journey still continues. Not to reiterate what Mr. Deepak said, however, straight coming to your point, when you said whether the branch banking would continue or would vanish, there are 2 or 3 very important factors which we need to look into or take into consideration. First of all is your customer segmentation. Now, looking at since you pointedly said that the public sector banks are now willing to adopt to technology, it wasn't the case that there was a resistance. It was only the case that the push wasn't there, or push was a little less. COVID actually has, this forced the public sector banks also to initiate and speed up the digital adoption.
Absolutely.
Having said this, what I would also like to say is that, looking at the kind of segment that the public sector banks are today serving, we have a nationwide presence. And more importantly, if I have to tell you, we have as much as almost about 47% of our branches in the rural segment, rural semi-urban. So while looking at that, and also looking at the kind of, the inroads that technology has made with the people at these locations, which is semi-urban and rural, adoption may not be difficult, but adoption may not be 100%. You still would have a different age bracket or a different literacy rate, which would retard or an apprehension what for the technology is to be, handled, or what if something wrong happens. So with that, what in the minds of the people in these particular segments, and also looking into the senior citizens or super senior citizens who are still very attuned with the conventional banking, be it rural, semi-urban, urban or metropolitan cities, the adoption, as I said, may not be complete. However, the quotient of adoption will increase. Having said this, coming to the question that you have asked, whether the branch banking would end, the answer would be no. However, the services which are being offered at the branch banking or the number of branches may come down. Keeping in view the adoption of technology today and keeping in view the digital adoption. So while I say digital adoption, it would mean that today the digital footprints are available in the market for anybody and everybody. Whether it is a structured data or an unstructured data, you still would have information available somewhere for a particular person. Onboarding has been a bane so far, but today, thanks to COVID again, that the people have started adopting technology for onboarding also. And various different strategies are being evolved by various different banks, whether it is public sector or private sector. So today, everybody is trying to increase the share and also to retain the share. So with these 2 elements, the branch banking would continue. The brick and mortar structure may not go away. However, we'll also have to see what are the type of segments that we are going to service there. So the next question or the next answer, which is coming out of this is whether we are going to provide every service to the customers. If not, can we also look at segmentation of our branches now? While I say this, it would mean that, instead of my customer segmentation, now it is going to be the branch segmentation as to which branch should offer what. So that's the another, take from the place where we are today. And we'll also have to see that the segmentation is having a synergistic effect rather than having a retarding effect. So, to plainly say, digitization is here to stay. We are expected to continue with it. The initiations would further get more bolder and graver. However, the branch would still coexist. So it has to be machine and persons who are expected to coexist. As you rightly said, that AI is today is the mantra from where most of the information is today available about a particular customer. Digital onboarding is technology oriented. Documentation also today is digitized. NESL is coming up with various different models or products with regard to digital documentation and also digitally signing the documents. So it is an end-to-end digitization which is helping the banks or helping the financial industry to onboard, service, maintain, and remediate the kind of services which are being provided to the customers. And in times to come, we are going to sustain with it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Sunil. I think a couple of things which I gathered out of this is what I liked here is the balanced approach, where technologists generally they will just bend and say that, okay, we think that technology is going to revolutionize everything and everything is going to be tech. I think your balanced approach that yes, the adoption is going to increase. Will the adoption be 100% and the branch infrastructure will just vanish? Possibly, we don't see that in near future. I think very valid point that we have a mix. We have a mix of millennials, people of our age, and people who are senior citizens. And there are different people who will accept things differently. If you ask my 15-year daughter to cancel a Indigo flight, she would never try to make a call to the call center, but yes, she would initiate a conversation with a conversational AI bot of Indigo or any other airlines for that matter. Work there, and then they say that it's done. Somebody who is going to be of age of our father, possibly they will say that if you can walk into an Indigo office nearby, just get that taken care of, and we will be of the kind of people who would say in between or do a transaction which is in between. So yes, it is going to be a hybrid approach, and then the branches are going to stay for a while for sure. But yes, in terms of more and more technology adoption, I agree with you, and I think I echo the same feel that we will see with all these new age technology, we will see lesser number of branches, lesser footfall in the existing branches of our banking ecosystem. So very interesting perspective, Mr. Sunil. I would like to come to Mr. Vijay Kumar, who brings a very different perspective because he is from a insurtech or an insurance background, and he runs an insurance company as a CEO. What I would want to know, Mr. Vijay, is because insurance is also in the overall scheme of BFSI, insurance is also a very highly regulated sector. So what is going to be the view of regulations when we go into this period of digitalization after this COVID? If you can put some light on it.
Yeah, thank you, Nikhil. And once again, good morning to all the viewers and also the panelists. And thank you, Elite, for giving this opportunity. I will, join, the question number one that you, put to Deepak, I guess, and this question together. And we started, just to give you a little bit brief about our company. We started, we are a 4-year-old company. We started, took our license in 2017 and started our operations in 2018. And so we are now, in terms of turnover, we are close to 3,200 crores we closed this year. And we rank 10th in the private sector general insurance. So now coming back to, I think, your question. Fortunately for us, we did not have the baggage, and we invested heavily on the technology side. And so all the preparation that we had done in 2017-18, before we started our operations, I think proved to be very, very handy and useful for us in this COVID time. Whether in terms of designing office where there is no fixed place for anybody, no cabins and no fixed place for anybody, so anybody can sit anywhere, or maybe investing heavily on the technology side so that we can deliver small ticket size products to the customers, which was need of the hour. So it helps us, but again, like anybody else, it remained talk of the town for quite some time. Even though we wanted to put everything digital and change everything, the way traditionally it was happening, but 100% we were successful, I would say. No, even though the plan and intention was very, very clear, and even though the COVID, I think, posed a lot of challenges and agony to the public at large, but it also forced all the sectors, including insurance sectors, actually to evolve and truly execute what people had decided on that. So now, to make it fully digital, the entire insurance delivery through perfectly digital, I think there are two very, very important roles, of third-party agencies, which were required to be also changed alongside. One is, of course, the support from the government side, where unlike banking and other sectors, the disadvantage in the general insurance side is customers do not provide information. There is hardly any information about the risk which is available, and traditionally that has been the practice. So for us, it is very important to make the digitalization happen, seamless service. It is very important that information flow is available from various agencies, and so I think that way the government credit must go to the government, where lot of information is made public now. For example, you can get information about the vehicle, you can get information about the driving license, you can get information about what is the claim history through IIB, Vahan, Sarthi, CIBIL score, Aadhaar, PAN, the bank account, the ease of transacting the payments thanks to all the banking sector, and also in addition to that, GST portal, FASTag. I think a lot of ecosystem has been developed by the government, which helped us actually in this challenging time. And along that, I think the regulator also, which were traditionally top down, where every small word actually is dictated by the regulator, and we cannot deviate from there. Also, learned in a way and evolved during this COVID period, and changed its thinking, and a lot of support started pouring in. For example, floating of sandbox, where you could instantly develop a product and try in the market. This was one of the very bold step they had taken. Standardization of the products. I think some basic products they had standard. They are trying to standardize, and they have standardized. So just for the information of the viewer, I think it is very, very important. If more and more products are standardized, it is easier to digitalize. Okay, if there is too much of complexity, the digitalization also become little difficult. As you know, like somebody mentioned, that there is some trust deficit in the banking. The same is true for insurance, even more than the banking actually. So So I think in that scenario, opening up for digitalization was a big challenge, and with the support of ecosystem provided by the government and also provided by the regulator, I think I think we are in much better stage today. The industry, if you compare to any other sector, while the auto sector, I think was degrowing, the general insurance industry overall grew at a rate of 5%. Our own company actually, in spite of the challenges, we grew at a 40% during this pandemic period. So it became a very few things become easy. Life became easy. Developing a product, executing it, and delivering it, I think, became far more easier during this pandemic time. Having said said so, I think there are still a lot of challenges. We still have a lot of we need to see a lot of improvements on the court side, because there are a lot of liability claims are there, legal claims are there, which we have to also execute. So the courts and police, I think there are a lot of sub government departments where still a lot need to be done. In the health sector also, a lot of hospitals are still not geared up. They still rely on manual documentation, etc. So I think from the regulator side, a lot of support has come in. They are standardizing the products. They are allowing a lot of digital documents. Nowadays, I think when you need to file a motor claim, no need of proposal form, no need of claim forms. Earlier, some point of time, if the claim happens, then somebody used to visit the office of insurance company just to fill up the claims. Today, no such thing is required. No need of surveyor today, actually. You'll be surprised, almost all insurance companies today, motor claims are settled without intervention of the surveyors. Okay, hardly maybe 20% cases only surveyor has to visit. 80% cases is all video streaming, and people are able to give the estimates, and claims are being settled. So it's a great development, as far as the general insurance industry is concerned. And I think even though a long way to go and a lot of things still need to be done.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Vijay. I think from an insurance perspective, you have given a very versatile view, and I was just trying to connect that view in overall the BFSI industry. The first part which you mentioned, that as you started in 2017 and moved in 2018, you planned that it has to be a tech platform, and then which you could reap the benefit. Point number one, looking at your current ranking of your organization. You also mentioned about this mobile offices, and you should be able to serve the small ticket size. It's a very important thing. Many companies actually find it difficult to serve small ticket size. They need to really work on their operating expense, and I think because it was a tech heavy and ops light solution which you have put forth, you are able to serve the smaller ticket size as a viable solution. The second part which you covered, which I really liked, is when you said that the government, how the government has helped. And I was relating this for insurance industry, banking industry, other financial services institutions. It's all the same, right? The GST was a revolution. The CIBIL, the Aadhaar, the PAN. Now, when earlier it was GST and bureau record, or CIBIL record, or a Equifax record, used to be a revolution for lending. Account aggregator, this entire account aggregator solution, which is on government's radar and is taking its now, like it has taken a speed now. I think all these things are certainly going to make us more viable when we do lending for small ticket sizes, or when we do insurance for small ticket sizes, and we can do a lot of underwriting remotely, let it be for insurance or for banking. So very interesting point you covered. In fact, the area which you covered for regulator, I do remember I have worked in insurance as well, and I understand that when you used to file a product in IRDA, how much iterations and time it used to go through. And now with this sandbox solution which IRDA has come up, and it is much faster for people to get their products approved, tested in the market, and then launched. Similarly, the implementation from courts, as you have mentioned, that how the processes have become, the processes have become better, but there is still scope of things to become a little better. I think a very, very different perspective, Mr. Vijay. Thank you for that. I would like to come to Mr. Amit Saxena. Amit Saxena manages technology for an organization which is known for managing the first wave of COVID completely, I would say, State Bank of India. And there were a lot of ups and downs, policy changes of government which went through State Bank of India and got implemented across different financial institutions, bank, insurance. So, Mr. Amit, I would just want to understand from you that with this ongoing lockdowns today, so as part of the second wave, how is the banking industry going to cope up, and how do you see you guys coping up with this second wave lockdowns now?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. And let me tell you, Nikhil, from this perspective, lockdown or no lockdown. But one thing, what we are working upon for last couple of years, we have been working upon. Have been working upon the technology transformation. And this task we have taken up since 2016 itself. And for last 5 years, we have done a full technology transformation. Now, what we are looking forward to, if banks have to, because this is not going to go away so quickly itself. That's what our estimate is. So what banks have to do, they have to do a standardization and rationalization of the technology stack itself, which we have taken up last year. So that way we were able to, most of the legacy banks, we are like 211 years young, right? So what has happened that we have been having systems which are not onto this seamless same technology stack, which we have brought to the same technology stack. But bringing them to a technology stack is one part of the story. Standardizing the interfaces through which everybody should be able to interact, that we have done. And we took it in 2018-19, but by 2020, we have standardized it. So whole of the bank now interacts with each other through a standard interface. And that has given us a lot of leverage when it comes for managing different volumes for different customer segmentation, right? So that is one part of the story. The other thing, what we are looking at, and this year we intend to do it, once we have standardized whole of these interfaces, we are going to rationalize the number of interfaces. And we are not only talking of the banking space, we have got 5 of our JVs itself. The aspiration what State Bank of India have, that we should become like a Google to the financial services sector itself. And I'm not only talking of banking, I'm talking of, we have got 5 JVs which are credit card, insurance, general insurance, life insurance, and CAPSEC itself, right? So that's what we are going to do. And once we are able to do it, and being the largest bank, once we standardize, it's not from the competition perspective. It's more from an ecosystem stability perspective, right? If we are being called banker to the nation, which means 60% of the transactions come through us or went through us, right? So for one way or another itself. So once we do this, the whole ecosystem would be standardized and would become a better place to, kind of interact with the different banks itself. And you touched upon a few of the points like AA itself, account aggregator, what we say. And these things would keep on coming, and which would standardize the whole ecosystem in a manner wherein everybody should be able to leverage the strengths of a system. In place of competing against each other, we should be able to leverage the strength of each other, and we should be able to give an ecosystem to the country which would be best among the world itself, whether for retail customer, the corporate customer, SME customer, or say, for example, whether it's for a treasury business or, any kind of a business. And I'm just trying to touch upon different segments because we cater to every type of a segmentation in the country itself. So this is something what's a way forward. The other thing what we have achieved in last year, that we were able to automate a lot of our stuff, and especially the bankers would understand the biggest pain lies in the reconciliation part itself. That reconciliation we have automated, and so that way if you are able to get the, if you have to reconcile a transaction which have failed for any number of reasons, that should be reverted back to a customer in a standard time itself. We have done it, I won't say a full automation of it, but we intend to complete that automation part by this year itself, so that all the banking system, the reconciliation, and we are open to discuss it in different banking forums, and which we do keep on doing at all the times itself, wherein the whole ecosystem would be standardized itself. And that is the need of an hour. If India has to move forward towards a 5 trillion economy, banking has to be the backbone of all such things to be done in the country. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Amit. I think a couple of things you mentioned. One is that how we are going to cope up with this ongoing lockdown. So you just covered it in one single sentence, saying that we are already geared up with our standardization of our interfaces across banks, which has helped even during the last COVID period and now in the second wave, that banking as a industry is not going through a halt at any point. Yes, there is an impact and there is a turbulence where the customers for their specific transactions get impacted, but interbank transactions and those things are so standardized that it helps. I think that's a very good point, and I think this term coined as SBI to become a Google of banking, I think is a very catchy term and says a lot about the plans of SBI too. And yes, account aggregator I think is a important area which is going to make a similar revolution what the bureau, credit bureau has brought. When we were earlier, it was a non-standard process, and then it got standardized over a period of time. I think that is going to play a very important role. Thank you once again, Amit. I would like to come to Deepak Singla, because Deepak, who has the varied opportunities to get perspective from the entire sector, Deepak, because he manages this. So from BMC perspective, he is able to see what different sectors within the overall BFSI industry, how they look at this COVID second wave, how they look at how the technology is going to work in future. I think if we want to know how ready this sector is, Mr. Deepak, for the future uncertainties after this, it means that what is the resilience which we have built after this pandemic of COVID? If you can throw some light, that would be appreciated. I would even want you to cover a little bit of, if you can cover that, going from a completely digital to a digital plus physical. Do you see that people still need to walk into the branches after this entire digital transformation journey which has come, and adoption of digital transformation after COVID? So these two things I would like you to touch upon if you can.
Sure, Nikhil. Thank you so much, and very good morning to all the esteemed panelists and the great audience that is there with us today. COVID has changed the world like never it has happened before, and technology in particular has brought a big revolution. Look at any industry. Banking has always been very pro-digital. Education, our kids today are going through digital education. Healthcare, doctors are coming on digital consultations. So every field which at one point of time required a physical interaction only is now moving digital. I want to pick out an anecdote from what Sony sir said, that 47% of branches of Punjab National Bank are rural. I remember 11 years back, I was part of Government of India, and I was working with then IT Secretary of Government of India, Mr. R. Chandrasekhar, on a paper which was eventually published for financial inclusion using mobile. And at that point of time, the regulations in India were not permitting smallest, entities, business entities like a kirana shop owner, like a teacher, to become a business correspondent of a bank. And we had, Reserve Bank of India, Planning Commission, and many other such organizations part of our committee. And finally, that regulation came in, and that gave rise to financial inclusion in the country. And back in 2010, the mobile penetration in India was around 85%. So now if you connect the dots, 47% of branches, like in case of PNB, are rural, but the same set of customers who are sitting in the rural India have one thing in hand, which is the mobile device. The second thing which has happened over a period of time is that the internet penetration has gone to the grassroots level. Organizations like BSNL and many others have taken fiber to the last mile. So therefore, every citizen today in the country, irrespective of where they are, they have a mobile connectivity or internet connectivity to do banking. And coupling it with the fact that Aadhaar-based e-authentications are pushing our entire economy to a cashless and a paperless economy. So what Mr. Deepak Sarda said, I heard everyone with a common theme saying that today they don't have to submit physical papers, be it what Vijay said, talking about insurance. Physical, the need to be physically present, the need to send physical paperwork, the need to sign something is gone. We are able to do everything digitally. And that wave that all of us wanted India to experience, that got a massive push because of COVID. Everybody was in lockdown. Physical contact was bound to not happen. And there was no way left for each of us as citizens of the country to adopt digital. So everyone set up, all of us had small home offices, laptops and desktops were purchased practically in every home. Even, I know so many in our family and friend network who couldn't afford a laptop, but were using mobile devices and they were doing mobile banking. And banking industry has been a pioneer in this aspect, that mobile banking started many, many years ago. And now that pushes it, like Deepak Sardaji said, 200 to 300% higher number of transactions happening digitally than they used to happen in the branch. Now, what is happening with this is there is a shift coming on the consumer side and there is a shift coming on the banker side. On the consumer side, now when everybody is using a mobile device or an internet device, they want a better experience. And that experience, banks are launching in multiple ways. For example, if you look at today, so many banks have launched banking over WhatsApp, so that you don't have to call a number. You actually are interacting on WhatsApp with a bot. So there is a chatbot sitting behind who is interacting in a natural language with a consumer. So consumer doesn't know they're interacting with a chatbot, but it's not a physical person behind it. They're interacting with a chatbot and they're getting the service that they need. So 40 to 50% of the regular needs, regular problems that a banking customer is facing today are getting served by a chatbot alone. And only for the remaining 50 or 55% that you actually need a touch with a human being. So that is a transformation experience, and cognitive intelligence has come in, and organizations like BMC and many others have actually worked a lot in this area. So over the last 3-4 years, we launched BMC, our Helix platform, which is a SaaS-based platform primarily into cognitive and AI ops that many banks have adopted and still are in the adoption phase. I am in fact very proud today in this audience, in the panelists, that Punjab National Bank, State Bank of India, Indian Bank, they're all BMC customers. So it gives great satisfaction to me joining this panel and be talking about it. Now, so consumer side, the experience is changing. On the banker side, suppose as a customer of, let's say, any bank, I'm calling the customer care. There are times when, which all of us have experienced, that the customer care says, sir, can I put you on hold and let me pull out some information. Now there, that transformation is required, and that is where technologies such as Helix are allowing these banking side experience to change, where when a banking customer calls for any problem they are facing, be it applying a loan application or facing a problem with internet banking transaction or anything, they are calling the customer care. The customer care executive gets entire information about that customer right on their screen. So they know how many calls this person has made. They know how has been the experience of this customer prior, what kind of problems this customer has faced, in the past. So as a customer support executive, I'm able to serve their need in a far better manner. I'm able to respond to them far more intelligent fashion. So that is changing the banker experience, that is changing the customer experience. The other aspect that has happened in the last 1 year is security. Because everybody had to work from home, even the people who used to manage IT operations. And I know, Sunilji mentioned earlier that bankers didn't have a choice. They actually had to go and, sit in the offices, manage IT operations from there. But still, when government announced a lockdown, challenges came in. Security had to be loosened to allow our own team to give access to our data centers, give access to our applications. So security became very, very important. And there were state-sponsored attacks that India faced, especially on banking institutions, because that is the financial data, most critical data of our country. So security is something which has taken far more importance in the banking arena. They are looking at ensuring that everything is well patched, vulnerability management practices are being adhered to, compliances are coming in. There are guidelines being issued by Reserve Bank of India time and again to all banks to submit compliance reports every month. And every bank is today doing that, whether their entire infra is patched or not, are there open vulnerabilities in their infra or not. All those things are going on, where BMC is working very closely, with all the banks and banking institutions in helping them be foolproof and be safe against the evil eye. And the last thing I would say, which is becoming very, very important for the banks, is the service health. If I, as a CIO, I am looking at my bank, do I have a dashboard where I can see what is the health of my internet banking, what is the health of my core banking system, what is the health of my loan system, what is the health of my insurance application? If the health is not good, which means my business is immediately impacted. My customers are not able to buy insurance from me. My customers are not able to do a money transfer from an account to another. So service health is becoming very, very important in this current arena. So to answer your question, Nikhil, will the future be purely digital or digital plus physical? It will be digital plus physical, as some of us have remarked, because there is still a huge population in the country for whom adopting digital is still a challenge. Look at our parents, look at our elders who have learned digital in leaps and bounds. There were people who never you could use a mobile phone. Today they are on WhatsApp. Today they are posting statuses on Facebook, and they are doing mobile banking like nobody else. So transformation is coming. We might reach a stage where it will become 100% digital, but we are still far from that. So SaaSification of banking is happening, security is improving, and the experience, the service experience is taking paramount importance in the digital arena that you will see going forward, evolving in the banking space.
Sure. Thank you, Deepak. I think you covered many things in a very small time. So one is the voice of all the technologies sitting in different banks, insurance companies. That is one part which you have covered. The second part is how government is looking at the current technology adoption and what are the kind of things it is picking from there. So call it a mobile adoption, internet penetration. You spoke about paperless economy. You spoke about cashless economy. You spoke about small offices within the home, which this COVID gave birth to. This concept of small offices within the home, you call it pods and things like that. And the experience itself changed, as I think very rightly put about the WhatsApp chatbot. So there is one part which is a WhatsApp chatbot. So chats were there for a long time. Chatbots were also there for last 3-4 years. But when we saw a conversational AI bots, which are actually doing the entire transaction, not only just giving a response, a static response to your static question, but doing a banking transaction and giving a response back. And not only in the language, which is English, but any of the language, any of the vernacular languages you were mentioning about the NLP. These AI bots, which are enabled in vernacular languages, the entire conversational AI piece has certainly seen traction, and we are sure that it's going to revolutionize. I think very well put in. And the last point which I liked is that when with a lot of new technology evolution, I would say there's a lot of responsibility which comes in terms of security, and the government has taken it seriously. The regulators have taken it seriously, and organizations, the product companies like yours and others have also done their bit to ensure that the security is not compromised when we are trying to leverage technology for easing out the process of doing business in the financial ecosystem. So one of the things is there that we have to do a time check as well. We have a couple of minutes before we are going to close this session. So I would request all the panelists to give their one statement closing remark for this, the esteemed set of delegates which are listening to this session. I think I would request Mr. Deepak Sarda, if you can give your one statement closing remark for the participants of this session.
I would request, as Mr. Singla has told, security is going to be a prime importance, even though we are working from wherever. So security has to be taken care of, and heavy investment in security is being done, and implementation and monitoring has to happen so that we are safe and protected from all the various attacks which are happening from various states. And India is anyway being targeted almost all the time. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Deepak. Mr. Sunil, if you can give a concluding statement from your side, that would be appreciated.
Yes, Nikhil. My only submission would be that let's adopt technology securely and for better productivity.
Sure. Wonderful. Mr. Vijay, if you would want to add something.
Yeah, I slightly, maybe correct the statement, with regard to digitalization becoming given a necessity and minimum, actually. So whether it's a banking or insurance, I think the customer's expectation will be that this is the minimum you have to have. Physical presence or physical meeting may be the add-on or top-up or privilege. Okay, so that is one. And second, I think second point, I see a lot of change happening in the health sector now. There been discussion happening on the on the regulatory mechanism, etc. With this, even though everybody say has a feel negative about what is happening all around. Of course, it is it poses a lot of challenges for an ordinary man. But I think it has also helped India maybe leap forward by at least 5 years in technology and digitalization, etc. And overall, I think correcting the basics, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Deepak. Mr. Amit, if you would like to give a closing remark in terms of how you would like to conclude. I think Mr. Amit could not continue, but Mr. Deepak Singla, if you can put a closing remark from your side, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Nikhil. As a closing, I would just like to say that digital is here to stay, and digital is the way to go. In fact, for that matter, to fight this pandemic that all of us are going through, digital is what is helping us. While sitting in the closed doors, trying to minimize the physical interaction to contain the infections, I think digital is where is helping us, and banking is particularly helping all of us, because for anything and everything that we do in life, we need to interact with a banker. We need a banking system in our hand. So improving and continuously improving, I would say, the customer experience from a banking perspective is going to be very important. And that will happen when the services stay available, services stay secure, and the trust between the customer and the banking ecosystem stays very, very high. So with that, I wish everyone a very, safe stay, and may everybody stay protected from the pandemic. Thank you for the opportunity, Nikhil.
Yeah. Thank you, Deepak. And I think with that, everybody has a common statement that digital and technology is here to stay. Make it the first, and then go to your physical process for whatever you can. At the same time, physical also is going to stay, because humans are going to humans are the ones who are using technology. But yes, we need to exploit it as much. within a secured environment is what I get. I think excellent. Thank you very much for all the panelists to give your right views, right perspective, and I'm sure there's a lot of learning for all the delegates. I would like to thank all the delegates for patient listening, and thank you once again to all the panelists for great participation.
Thank you, Mr. Nikhil. I think this was the most beautiful session of the day because reason behind it, we can see the variety of, BFSI people here. We have insurance, we have PSBs, and a bit tadka of corporate also in this. So this was the beauty of the panel. So thank you so much for all the panelists being here. Your presence has really made a difference in the, in the event. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.